Good morning. Good morning. I am Pastor Troy East from New Hope Missionary Baptist Church here in the lovely city of Winter Park, Florida. I'm also here representing the Ministerial Alliance, and I am honored to preside over today's event. It's nice to be able to join together and pay tribute to our veterans. And I welcome you to the city's 12th annual Veterans Day celebration. That's a good time to give God some praise. Today, with your family and friends, we honor all of our veterans serving our country in any military conflict, and we thank you for your service. I hope you've had some time already to grab a cup of coffee, visit with the vendors, and find out what special services that they can offer. If you didn't have time, however, please do so at the conclusion of our ceremony. We have a tremendous program for you today that begins with a formal presentation of our nation's colors by the Winter Park Police Department, followed by the national anthem sung by Maria Bryant with music accompanied by Ezra Henry, also with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. So if you are able, please stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the prayer. Colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran where the bombs bursting in air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, the brave, the brave.
I pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Our Father, our God, we thank you for today. But Lord, today is a day that Winter Park celebrates the sacrifice and service of our men and women that serve this country. So, Father, we thank you for their steadfastness. We thank you for their unmovableness. We thank you, oh God, for them standing on the wall and protecting our freedom. So Lord, today we remember those that sacrificed, those that served, and we thank you for their sacrifice. Now, Lord, have your way in this program on today. Touch, move, and have your way. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Forward, march.
You may be seated. Since I'm on program, we're going to take a little litany to do what we want to do. All of those servicemen and women that are here today, if you don't mind standing. If you can stand, and if you cannot stand, just raise your hand. Thank you for this. You may be seated. As we know, service comes in many forms, shapes, and sizes. And last year we learned a little bit more about our mayor, Phil Anderson, as he shared his story about his family's service as missionaries in the Philippines. Mayor Anderson's service to the city of Winter Park began when he was elected as a city commissioner from 2008 to 2011. He received the calling again in March of 2021 when he rejoined the Winter Park City Commission when he was elected as our honorable mayor. At this time, I would like to ask our 55th mayor, Mr. Phil Anderson, to join us for remarks. My friend, Phil Anderson.
Thank you very much, Pastor East. So as a 10-year-old boy, I remember holding an unexploded hand grenade that I just found in the lot next door to the house that we lived in. I grew up in Manila, Philippines. I was able to see some of the sacrifice. I had a really good handle on everything that we had to do in World War II between the American cemetery and the military installations there. I got to go to Clark Field Air Base and see where our men and women trained before their deployment into Vietnam. So I've always felt that living abroad gives you a perspective and an appreciation for the freedom that we have here in the United States. And it gives you an appreciation for not just that freedom for us, but for what that light of freedom means to the world. Today, I'm honored to introduce someone that knows what that light of freedom really looks like, much more than I do. Hers is a story of a rescue at sea by the U.S. Navy. Hers is a story of a lifelong commitment to keeping freedom alive here in the U.S. because she's seen what happens when freedom dies elsewhere. I am honored to introduce U.S. Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, who represents Florida's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives, and to thank her for serving her country. Congresswoman Murphy is a businesswoman, she's a college instructor, and she's a consultant. She also served as a national security specialist in the office of the U.S. for the Office of the U.S. Secretary of Defense, where she received numerous awards for distinguished service, including the Secretary of Defense Medal for Exceptional Civilian Service. She holds a master's in foreign service from Georgetown University and a bachelor's in economics from the College of William and Mary. We're proud to call her a friend and one of us. Congresswoman Murphy and her family called Winter Park home. As residents, she's a tremendous advocate for our city and our state. We're honored to have you here with us, Congresswoman Murphy.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Mayor Anderson. Good morning, Winter Park. It's so nice to be here with you all, and what a beautiful day. I really appreciate Mayor Anderson for hosting this really wonderful event, and I am personally so honored to be in the presence of so many American heroes here, and to call you neighbors as well. Today, a grateful nation pauses for a moment just to recognize all of those who have worn our country's uniform in honorable service to a nation that we all love. And to become a United States soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, or Guardian is to embody the highest values and ideals that define us as a nation. And that's courage and sacrifice and honor. You represent the very best that our nation has to offer, living and dying in defense of our Constitution and in preservation of our precious democracy. I want to talk a little bit about why ceremonies like this across the country matter, both for our nation and for me personally. Our nation has a proud tradition of honoring the men and women who've taken up arms for our country. And we still celebrate the Minutemen who earned our liberty in the Revolution, the Doughboys who died in Belleau Woods to save Europe from destruction, and the Leathernecks who raised the flag at Iwo Jima. However, there were times in our nation's past where we didn't honor our veterans in the same way that they honored our nation with their service. And many of you here are from the war in Vietnam, you're veterans from the war in Vietnam. And those veterans were, in many cases, treated with disrespect and contempt upon their return from Indochina, and you didn't deserve this. And I want to explain to you why it matters to me so personally that we honor all those who served every day and in ceremonies like this. I owe the United States Armed Forces a special debt of gratitude. As many of you probably know, I was born in Vietnam in the aftermath of the Vietnam War. The North Vietnamese Communist government had begun to consolidate power. And in doing so, they sent people who had worked alongside the US military and with the South Vietnamese government to what they called re-education camp. And these were hard labor camps. Many people didn't survive those camps. And my parents had worked for the US military as well as for the South Vietnamese government. And facing persecution in their homeland by their new government, they decided that they had to make a change. And they looked at their children, myself as a 6-month-old and my brother as an 8-year-old, and they thought, they wanted better for their kids than what the future might hold in a country that didn't respect human rights or the will of its citizens. And so they made a brave but dangerous calculation. They fled by boat with the two of us and dozens of other Vietnamese people in the dead of night. And we got to the high seas in the South China Sea and simply ran out of fuel. And there we were, dangerously adrift with diminishing rations, when a US Navy ship found us in that vast sea. And they provided us with food, fuel, and water, enough to make it to a Malaysian refugee camp. And for me, that was the first moment that I encountered what I believe makes America great. And it's this incredible combination of power and generosity. It's the power that enables us to deploy sailors thousands of miles from home to ensure safe passage at sea and international commerce. But it's the generosity that has people who are trained for combat decide to extend grace to desperate strangers. And so, because of this grace and generosity, I stand before you today having had an opportunity to live in the United States and live the American dream. And I stand before you as the first Vietnamese American woman ever elected to Congress. That is a uniquely American story, and it's an American story that's made possible by men and women in uniform who are willing to defend our values. And so when I meet veterans, I feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude. And there's really no words to say thank you enough. and no actions that I can try to take to fully repay the debt I owe you and to this country, but I promise I'll never stop trying. And it's what drove me to work at the Department of Defense after 9/11 when I saw terrorists attack our country. I'm obviously honored to be a member of Congress, but I think it really was the honor of my life to work at the Pentagon shoulder to shoulder with men and women in uniform, much like the ones who rescued my family so many years before. And as a member of the committee which oversees the Department of Defense now in Congress, I've really tried to fight for better benefits for our service members. And we've been able to secure pay increases for our warfighters every year that I've been on the committee. And I've been proud to work on and pass legislation that helps veterans like you. For example, we just passed and signed into law by President Biden the PACT Act, which is the largest expansion of benefits to toxin-exposed veterans in 30 years. And I'm so glad we're finally making right by folks who have been hurt and injured in the line of duty. I strongly also supported the Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment Act, and it makes sure that veterans' benefits keep pace with the surging inflation that we're all seeing right now, and that's critically important. And although it was a long time coming, I was incredibly proud that President Biden posthumously awarded Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash the Medal of Honor last December for his gallantry in action while serving in Iraq. I don't know if you know of this gentleman, but he is somebody who's born and raised in Oviedo, and so from our area. And he, when his vehicle was hit by an IED, went back repeatedly into this vehicle to extract his men and bring them to safety. And as a result, his uniform caught fire because he was drenched in fuel, and he succumbed to his injuries sustained as a result of rescuing his men. I think he embodies the valor, and I'm glad that as a nation we were appropriately able to recognize him. And you know, I think we often say thank you for your service to members of the military and to veterans. But I think it's important that we all make a commitment to take a step a little further than that, beyond just the words of gratitude, but also in our actions, because their service means so much. And so, but today I will end with a really simple expression of my gratitude and the gratitude of an entire nation. Thank you. Thank you for rescuing that baby girl at sea so many decades ago. And on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for protecting all that this country holds dear. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Congresswoman Murphy. We're honored to have you with us, and I'll say, I don't know about anyone else, but I was extremely touched by your words. Those words, power and generosity, resonated well with me because they embody the spirit of our nation. They embody the spirit of our men and women in service, and they should embody the spirit of all of us. Power and generosity. We're humbled at your service to our community and our state. Thank you again. At this time, I'd like to introduce our featured speaker, Master Sergeant Jesse Martinez of the U.S. Air Force. Most of us probably do not know Jesse from the Air Force Base, but from the award-winning Alphon Inn. Since 2014, he's been serving as general manager of Winter Park's beautiful boutique hotel on East New England Avenue. But prior to this role, Master Sergeant Martinez had 12 years of active service with the U.S. Air Force as a law enforcement specialist. And after his active duty service, Martinez served 10 years as a reservist. His last year of his second enlistment, Martinez took a job at the hotel as a security supervisor for the Hilton Palacio del Rio in San Antonio, Texas. And this revealed his love for hospitality environment. And as they say, the rest is history. Master Sergeant Martinez.
Good morning, Winter Park. Those who know me or know of me, I really don't shy away from speaking, but today I'm very humbled. I'm very honored. But before I start, I wanted to personally thank Congresswoman Murphy for her service to our country and community. Thank you very much. And also to everyone who has served. It truly is a brotherhood and a sisterhood. I'm a very proud 22-year veteran myself. Wow, who would have thought after 22 years of serving, I'd be standing here before you all telling my story years later. I actually retired 11 years ago, and I was like, 22, 11? I mean, I look like I'm 36. Far from that. I think it's my Chamorro Polynesian blood in me, so it keeps, we eat a lot of fish, right? So, but this morning I'm going to quickly walk through just some highlights of my career. Very proud of that career, but I don't want to bore anyone with that part of it. But I do want to express or people take away, because I'm still in business, so some takeaways, some things that, life lessons I learned in the military that made me a leader today, and to be able to lead ladies and gentlemen at the El Fondén and hospitality industry in general. It actually began years ago, my first semester at San Diego State University. Walked around campus and I went, I'm just not feeling it. It just wasn't, I wasn't destined to be a typical higher education environment. It just wasn't me. I needed something more. I needed more purpose in my life. And I think it dates back to my grandfather and my two uncles. My grandfather left the island of Guam, took my grandmother with to join the Navy and spent 32 years. And then my two uncles also 32 years in the Navy. They ended up, he ended up retiring in San Diego, California. The siblings, hence that's where I was born. I knew that I could still get a great education while in the military, but I also knew I needed to serve my country. And so I went ahead and last minute just joined. I mean, they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm out of here. As the pastor said, I served as a law enforcement specialist my entire career, participating abroad in Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom. But during my career, I did a slew of things that it was just fun. I had a great time in the military. I was able to lead a detail for George W. Bush's visit to Turkey, the security detail. I was a non-commissioned officer in charge of a joint anti-terrorism team in Ankara, Turkey. Non-commissioned officer in charge of a joint drug enforcement task force in San Antonio, Texas. And I also got to lead some fine ladies and gentlemen in the Randolph Air Force Base SWAT team. So I did a lot of fun things, but the most fun thing I did was I was able to, when I was stationed in Europe, I was able to play football and softball for Air Force in Europe. So again, I was doing stuff, just fun things, but also making sure that our country was safe wherever I went. I have a very near dear heart to law enforcement, as you can imagine. So thank you for all of those who are serving, and of course our firefighters and firemen and women also. But what was I able to take from that career? You know, what led me to the path? You heard a little bit about where the epiphany came, where I wanted to stay in hospitality. But as a leader, I knew that I had things to give, and that was because the military taught me all of that. I've been working in hotels since 1999. Again, we start to date, I'm an old guy. But 8.5 years ago, I was given the privilege, the extreme privilege, to lead the best ladies and gentlemen in the hospitality, work in the best and most beautiful city in the United States, and work at the top hotel in the state of Florida, and that was the El Fondén. And I'm still very proud to be there. Many of you know that we have a lot going on there, and it's even going to become bigger and more beautiful. The El Fondén has been it has cemented itself as one of the top hotels in the state of Florida. We've been ranked top 100 best hotels by Travel and Leisure. Condé Nast Travel named us the top 15 hotels in the United States. U.S. World Report, top hotels in the United States, and we've earned the distinction of AAA 4 Diamond for since 2014. Now, that doesn't come easy. There's a lot of ladies and gentlemen at that El Fondén that have been busting some butt, and I cherish all of them. But also, to get and cement yourself in that pinnacle, you have to have a powerful community support. I can't tell you and express to you what Winter Park has done for the Alphond Inn. Hopefully the Alphond Inn has done a little bit for the city, but I will tell you this, we would not be where we're at today with the community support. Another one is a beautiful property. There's no other property as gorgeous as the Alphond Inn. The exceptional staff members and strong culture. You've got to have strong culture to be at the top. As a leader of a highly successful hotel, I learned many things, many values in the military, but 3 stick out: physical and mental health, camaraderie, and trust. You have to have those to be successful. These pillars are instilled in me, and I continue to instill in those who follow me. First, physical and mental health. We all know you have to be good first before you can take care of anyone. Physical fitness helps our body stay strong. Mental fitness helps our minds stay strong and achieve the mental health. And I'm super proud of that, or it hits me close because my daughter, who just got her doctorate, and she's a clinical psychologist, as we know, our world needs more people to be able to attend to those with mental illness. And I'm so proud of her taking on that charge. I believe when you are at your optimal, both physically and mentally, you make better decisions, you think better, you basically prepare yourself for tough times in the daily lives. It places you in the right mindset, and you can conquer anything you set your mind to. Secondly, camaraderie, and I think we all kind of know a little bit about that. There's no better sense of place in a group than knowing that those you're working with have a strong sense of fellowship. As in the military, company teams also have a mission and also have goals that need to accomplish, and they can't do it without each other. Camaraderie creates a positive work environment where where employees trust who they work for, where they're proud to work at, and for those who enjoy working around themselves. Lastly, most importantly, trust. No one succeeds if you have not built trust amongst your team. When building the culture, trust is the most important factor. Trust brings a sense of safety. It allows members to speak freely, it opens you up, and it also exposes your vulnerabilities. When team members know that they can count on each other and understand all the contributions are welcomed and valued, it creates an environment of morale increases, productivity increases, the upswing, and becomes an exceptional in all quality of work. Having a feeling of trust between colleagues is the paramount for a successful organization. Now, I spoke a lot about things that I've learned through the military. There's so many more. I could speak forever, but I'm not. I'm going to stop. I just want to say thank you allowing me to speak about me today, but also allowing me to honor all of you. I stand here a proud American. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. The city is grateful for your service to our country and your continued service to the city of Winter Park. At this time, we have heard from Maria Olivia Bryant and Mr. Ezra Henry earlier in our program. We've had the privilege of hearing them perform now we have the privilege to hear them perform America the Beautiful. Maria Olivia Bryant is a graduate from Rollins College and Stetson University. She grew up in Eatonville and Winter Park, where she taught K-12 music and was the director of performing arts program in various cities over 15 years. After performing on Amateur Night at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York, Maria has extensive performing background traveling throughout Europe and the Caribbean islands, Miami, Disney World, just to name a few. Currently, Maria is an educational consultant and grants reviewer with the U.S. Department of Education. And if I can add something else in here, Sister Maria can sing. Mr. Ezra Henry is affectionately known as EZ New York's own. He has over 30 years experience that has led him to stellar performances with major artists all over the world. Ezra's main inspiration has and will always be his faith in God. If I can deviate, I could rock with that. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce again Maria Olivia Bryan and Ezra Henry.
Good morning again, and thank you. Thank you to our veteran, Mr. Martinez, Senator Murphy, Mayor Anderson, Pastor East. Thank you, Winter Park Police Department, Winter Park Fire Department, the wonderful community. Hey, Mom. The wonderful band. Thank you all for your service. This is a tribute to you, America the Beautiful. And I definitely can't forget our wonderful commissioners and Senator Anna Escalante. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown my good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than country self they love, and mercy more than life. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, oh yes, and he crowned my good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Thank you.
I told you all she could sing. Thank you, Maria and Ezra. It's one gift the Lord has not given me yet, but I'm still praying. Thank you. America the Beautiful has never sounded more beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it's time for another very special presentation. We first met Melissa Matthews last year when she presented the Quilts of Valor to our Tuskegee Airmen and friends. Melissa and her team have returned on behalf of Quilts of Valor Foundation and is here to award 4 special quilts today. At this time, Melissa, please join us.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting the Central Florida Quilts of Valor to return and award 4 most deserving military veterans. The Quilts of Valor Foundation mission is to award healing, comforting quilts to active duty and living veterans touched by war. The United States has been involved in conflicts from World War II onward. Those who serve our country in support positions assure that those in harm's way would have what they need to succeed at their jobs. Since the Foundation's beginning in 2003, over 325,000 quilts have been awarded stateside in Germany, Iraq, and Afghanistan. We represent today over 10,000 quilters in over 500 groups across the United States. If you or someone you care about qualifies to receive a Quilt of Valor, please visit the Quilts of Valor website to make a nomination or come by our table and pick up a nomination form. Central Florida Quilts of Valor is completing its third year serving Seminole, Orange, and Osceola counties. We have awarded over 230 quilts in that time, 105 of them in 2022. With help from the Central Florida community, we would love to award 200 next year. We quilt for Quilts of Valor Foundation as a form of national service. We are not quilting for awards or ribbons from fancy shows, nor for the recognition. We quilt for the moments such as this, when the gifted comfort of a quilt provides warmth and physical presence of caring hands and thoughts that go into its making. It is a visual and tactile reminder that you are never alone, you are never forgotten. A Quilt of Valor is not a charity quilt. A Quilt of Valor cannot be bought nor sold, and it's our hope that this quilt will become a family heirloom. A Quilt of Valor is not a blanket, nor is it a great work of art, but what it is a work of heart. A quilt consists of 3 layers held together by its quilt stitching. We think of the layers of a Quilt of Valor in this way. The top of the quilt, with its many colors and shapes and fabrics, represents communities and the people that live within those communities. The batting, which is the center of the quilt, which we don't usually see, represents the hope that this quilt will bring comfort and warmth and healing to the individuals who receive it. The backing of the quilt is the strength of the quilt that supports the other layers. It represents the strength of the recipient, the support of his or her family, and our community and our nation. Finally, a quilt is put together with the quilt stitching and binding. Each stitch that holds the layers together and the binding that encloses those layers represents love and gratitude. Each of our awardees will receive a certificate which reads, "The Quilts of Valor Foundation wishes to recognize you for your service to our nation. We consider it our privilege to do so. Though we may never know the extent of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, we award you this Quilt of Valor as an expression of our gratitude from a grateful nation." Bakri Sambhu served in the United States Army from 1997 to 2015, rising to the rank of Sergeant First Class. His duty stations included Louisiana, Germany, Texas, and the Wounded Warrior Unit in Washington, D.C. Bakri's last deployment was in Afghanistan, in which his job as a platoon sergeant consisted of transporting supplies to his sister units. After a couple of months of convoying all over the northeast part of Afghanistan without any loss of supplies or soldiers, it looked like it was just a matter of time before they got ambushed by the Taliban. In one of those convoys, his mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle received an IED blast from the rear of the convoy. His leg was broken, and he sustained a spinal cord and mild brain injury. For his service, Bakri received the Afghanistan Campaign Medal and 2 campaign stars, the Bronze Medal, a Purple Heart, and many other awards. Bakri spent many months in several military care facilities. In 2015, Bakri received a home from the Hannibal Square Land Trust as a gift from the Winter Park community. He writes on his nomination form, "I can't stop thanking them from the bottom of my heart." Bakri, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and a grateful nation, please accept your Quilt of Valor. States Army and in the United States Air Force, starting in 1991 as an Army MP. He joined the Army Reserves in Orlando and then the Air Force Reserves as security police. After 9/11, he was called to active duty, and over the next 20 years, he served active or reserve duty in the United States Air Force as an MP. His duties stateside included force protection at 8 different Air Force bases. His deployments took him to Germany, Qatar, Turkey, Kandahar Air Force Base, airfield in Afghanistan. His military police duties were flight chief, operations superintendent, section chief, non-commissioned officer in charge, and battle captain. Craig Campbell, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and a Grateful Nation, please accept your Quilt of Valor. Eddie Santos. Eddie Santos served in the United States Army and the United States Navy from 1989 until 2013, rising to the rank of Petty Officer First Class. His duty stations included Georgia, Texas, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Jacksonville, Florida. His work with the Army was in flight operations, medevac helicopters, and convoy management. In the Navy, he worked with security for merchant marine ships, entry control points for bases and camps, high-value asset protection, and dignitary protection. Eddie, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and a Grateful Nation, please accept your Quilt of Valor. Jesse Martinez served in the United States Air Force from 1988 to 2011, rising to the rank of Master Sergeant. His duty stations included Texas, Florida, Turkey, Germany, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. He served with the 12th and 45th Security Forces, the 149th Security Police, while deployed during Desert Storm, the 386th Air Expeditionary Wing during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He served in dignitary protection and was the protection team leader for President George W. Bush's visit to Ankara, Turkey. Jesse, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and a Grateful Nation, please accept your Quilt of Valor. Gentlemen, we thank you for your service to our great nation. It means so very much to us to be able to come here today and award you your Quilts of Valor. Please nominate your friends who qualify so that we can award more. We have lots of quilts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. We have another quick deviation to our program. Sergeant Sambo, Officer Campbell, Lieutenant Santos, and Master Sergeant Martinez, can we all join Sergeant Sambo over there for a quick picture of all 4 of you Quilts of Valor members together, along with Ms. Matthews as well. If you don't mind, let me get a picture of that. Awesome. Again, thank you for your service. Again, thank you, Melissa. To Sergeant Sambo, Officer Campbell, Lieutenant Santos, and Master Sergeant Martinez, we hope the quilts become a symbol of gratitude for your service and comfort each and every one of you. At this time, I'd like to ask our mayor to come back to the podium and introduce our official salute to Patriots. Mayor Anderson.
You know, this is one of the best parts about the whole thing, but we'll get to it in just a sec. And before we begin that salute, I'd like to take a moment to personally thank Melissa and her team for the honor they bestowed on our veterans with the Quilts of Valor, and for also recognizing the service of Sergeant Sambo, Officer Campbell, Lieutenant Santos, and Master Sergeant Martinez. Before we go to the best part of the program, the next part of the program, I'd also like to represent those who are serving our city in so many other ways, and particularly in our state. And so I just want to, if you rise and be recognized, we have State Representative Anna Escamani. We have Vice Mayor Todd Weaver. We have Commissioner Marty Sullivan. He gets a statement at the end of 2 minutes. And we have Commissioner Chris Cruzado. So thank you very much. And then, of course, we also have our standing city manager, Randy Knight, and assistant city manager, Julie McFarland. Thank you. And now, Smitty, and the band. We're ready to begin our salute. America, this land built on the prayers and dreams of our pioneers, patriots who possessed a deep inspiration and an unfaltering vision for a nation built on the concept of individual freedom. The spirit of freedom is woven deeply into the fabric of America's history. And now is the time to acknowledge a dream that only prayer could bring to life. Now is the time to give thanks for this nation, unique in all of history. Now is the time to celebrate our heritage of liberty. Let us begin by paying tribute to our patriots, the men and women who have served in the armed forces of the United States. The most powerful military ever assembled came from the common and committed citizens of America, who accomplished their task with uncommon valor and dedication. Our debt to them can never be repaid, for there is no price to be placed on liberty. It is altogether fitting to show our appreciation to those in our community who unselfishly contributed to the securing of the very liberties that allow a gathering like this to occur. Would all of our veterans of active military please rise as we present the song from your branch of the American Armed Forces. And we want to hear you sing the verses too. And with that,
United States Army. United States Marines. Hoorah! United States Navy.
Thank you to our amazing VWF Band, Post 2093, under the direction of Wilbur Smitty Smith. We're grateful for your annual performance and making sure you're always here to share this moving tribute with us every year. This time, I would just like to acknowledge all of those. Again, of course, Master Sergeant Martinez, Senator Murphy, and Mayor Phil Anderson. We thank God for your service. But there are a lot of men and women behind the scenes that made this program a success. At that time, I'd just like you to come forward really quick so we can acknowledge those behind the scenes, Ms. Clarissa and others behind the scenes, to come up and we just celebrate you right now. Before I offer our benediction, I'd like to remind you to visit with our vendors before you leave. They have plenty of valuable information specifically designed and offered for our veterans. Don't forget to take a moment to reflect by our live oak tree that was planted several years ago in honor of all of you as the city's official Veterans Memorial Oak for your service to our country. At this moment, I hope you enjoyed this presentation, this program, and had a great time. And if you did, you can give God a hand clap of praise. Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we reflect and say thank you. We reflect and appreciate the fact that our country has power and generosity. We reflect, oh God, and appreciate the men and women that you have given to this country to serve and sacrifice. Father, we reflect on your gifts, and we thank you for all that you have done. Now, Lord, we commit these into your hands because you're able. Keep us on today is our prayer. Bless our veterans, our men and women that have served. Bless the family. And Lord, God bless the United States of America. Amen.